Whenever we talk about censorship, where do you draw the line? I think that's the biggest question normal people can make to themselves, because this is something that I always ask myself whenever we talk about censorship. So where do you draw the line? Right now, Steam had to comply with these payment processors that dictated that now adult theme content on being posted on Steam, it's something that you can't buy. So they dictate what you can do with your own money. And what's sad about this is that Visa, Mastercard, PayPal, they are the biggest payment processors in the world. So if they say, Steam, you have to bow down to your king, Steam has to bow down. There is nothing they can do. They had to comply. Otherwise, they risk, the usual stuff, which is legal related stuff, court cases, and you just risk your own company just to host adult themed games. But the thing is, adult games have been popular to a degree for a while now. It's not something that you can stop people from making. You will find many sites that sell them legally, with from Japan with the authorization and payment processors. So, but with these regulations, with these policies, just having access to buy these games, these adult games, just in general, it becomes harder. And this is something that it's not new. You have to understand this. This is something that has been pretty much happening for years now. If you guys remember what happened with Patreon and these Ren'Py visual novel games that are so popular now, they had to, pretty much dictate what kind of stuff you can make in terms of adult video games. So certain tags that they deem as problematic, they started to cause issues, and Patreon has to step up and dictate what you can and can't do, and pretty much remove those games from their platform, and people had to move onto other platforms. I believe Subscribestar was the alternative. So in this case, what kind of alternative people have for their games being delisted from Steam? Where do you go from now on? Where can you post your work from now on? And this is something extremely hard, and it's a bit sad, because just imagine the amount of time, work, dedication you have to just commit to it. Because as you guys might know by now, making video games, it's extremely hard. Nobody can make a video game out of nowhere. You have to spend time, resources, stuff like that. Just the commitment is what I'm talking about, and that's something that you have to think about, because these people have their game delisted. And you know what Valve's response was? They pretty much said that they hope that devs have another game to put on Steam. So just imagine spending 5 years making one of these Ren'Py games that are extremely popular right now, or popular to a degree, but they are popular in some communities. And just imagine your work being delisted from Steam because a certain group, just the usual crowd, the usual individuals, decided to push for censorship. And who's that group? What are those people? Let's just talk about it right away, because there is something that it's a pattern just in general when it comes to people trying to censor stuff like adult theme stuff. And just word for word from this individual, Sir Damned, and he says that if you weren't aware, this is one of the psychos who pressured Visa and Mastercard into forcing Steam, using their payment processing monopoly, to ban over 1,000 fictional games that were clearly marketed to adults. Why is there always a miserable, mentally ill Karen behind these censorship campaigns? How sad and desperate for control these people are. And this is just one example of a person, of people, just being against just adult themes in general. They always find something problematic and they just want to censor it one way or another. In this case, with payment processors, and they won this time because the people, this group, I only find out just because they are in the center of the storm. They are the ones that were pushing for this kind of censorship, because at the end of the day, it's censorship. That's what you have to understand. It's censorship. It's blatant censorship. And this group decided to push this narrative and this movement, this campaign, this censorship crusade, to force these payment processors to talk about or make policies that could affect adult games. And now they affected adult games on Steam, so those games are done for. They are going to be delisted. They have like 1,000 already being delisted. I believe that 80 today were delisted as well. And I don't know if your game keeps being present on your library. Let's say you buy one of these adult games that had problematic tags. Does that game keeps being there, or does it get removed? That's something that I don't know. So again, it's a very confusing thing right now, and it's something in development. And as I said earlier, this is something that is going to keep happening no matter what. For a fact that these people will push for even more censorship. And that's why the question about where do you draw the line, that's why it's so important to ask yourself that question. Because what's going to be next? Again, is it going to be violence? Is it going to be blood? Is it going to be gore? Is it going to be just adult things, just in general, like dismemberment and violence in general? Just, it's very, very complicated, and it's legally complicated right now. So will people get refunds for their you bought those games, so you should be able to get your money back. Otherwise, does your game remains on your library? That's something that I don't know. Maybe some of you might know, and just let me know in the comments if that's the case or not. So I'm curious about that. But again, going back to this group that was pushing for this to happen, and they have been doing this for a while. This is from May 26. That's pretty much a month by now, and they have done that on July 7. 7 corporates, as they said, including Visa and Mastercard, are supposedly profiting. So these people panicked, and they decided to and they also will attack Itch.io. So that's going to be such a huge hit to the platform in general. Just that site hosts many of those supposedly problematic tags. So that's something that people need to think about from now on. So since they will go for that site, just that for a fact. So they won't stop with only Steam. So they will keep pushing for even more censorship just in general. And from what I've read on Kotaku in Action, shout out to them, supposedly it's a collective shout, an Australian-based Moms for Liberty type puritanical group, and they pretty much celebrated, saying that it's a major win. New policy on Steam. So this is pretty much already in motion. This is already happening. So they can consider this a win. But in the long term, it is not, because for a fact that these people will get shit on. Their group is going to be, sadly, is going to be threatened, and it's something that you shouldn't do. You should never threat people, because you give them access to play the victim. You allow them to be the victim. So it's not a good look for anybody. So don't do that. Don't threat people online. Don't send them emails. Don't do anything to these people. Just avoid them. Just talk about it, but don't send them any threats. None of that. It's something that will make you look bad and will make your group look extremely bad. So don't do it. Avoid doing that. be smart about it. And just going back to that, what they have been celebrating, and it's, they celebrate that they took, they achieved this policy with these payment processors, and they celebrate that they had many of these games, being delisted, and they pretty much said that we want them all gone, supposedly from these games having these problematic tags. So they say, and they state that they want them all gone, so they won't stop, they will keep going, so be aware of that. And of course they blame people, because of they are getting threats. They will call you names, they will call you misogynistic, bigot, since it's a women's club. For what I can see, it's a women's group. Moms, we had this decades ago with the church involved. Just they being against violence in general, so GTA was problematic back then, Call of Duty, stuff like that, and now they are attacking again with these women's groups, and they just celebrate, and they want them all gone. They stated that. So they stated at the end that this is a major win for women and girls. Stay tuned for further updates. So that's pretty much says it all. So it's not going to stop anytime soon. And just to reiterate what I've been saying since the beginning, where do you draw the line? Today is adult games on Steam. What's going to happen tomorrow? Are they going to attack hentai games, games from Japan again? Are they going to attack violence? So video games like GTA again, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six, will all of them be problematic? And these payment processors will attack them as well, so they will make policies against those kinds of games. It's not, it's weird. And just to end up in a more technical conversation, why Steam decided to comply? Why did they decided to bend the knee and bow down, and just stuff that people feel in general? And it's because they are dependent on these payment processors. I said that at the beginning, these are the biggest payment processors in the world. There is not a single site that doesn't use Mastercard, Visa, or PayPal. So everybody has PayPal by now. So they are the biggest. They had to do it. They don't have an option. They had to do it. Maybe they wanted to avoid a financial risk, easy of compliance, vague guidelines to avoid conflict. So that's pretty much the reasons why Steam decided to comply with this. And you can't blame them, but you have the right to be angry about it, because I thought that Steam was all about freedom, was all about video games and preserving video games. So when you have thousands of games being delisted just because payment processors dictated that some adult games are controversial, tags are controversial, and they had to be taken down. So I don't know what to say about that. It's just a shitty situation, and this is going to keep developing. This is going to escalate even more in the future, because for a fact that these people will keep pushing for even more censorship. So that's pretty much what's happening with Steam right now. It's shitty. Just that's my opinion about it. It's fucking shitty, and I understand people being angry with this group just in general. Just it's a very shitty situation, and it looks like there is no going back with it. It's already in motion. Those games will be delisted no matter what. So thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to help me grow. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this, and see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.